BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everybody. This is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to another conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. And in this conversation, I would like to discuss with you visitation by divine beings, or some people would refer to them as celestial beings. But before we get into this, I would like to thank Amelia Santara and her husband John, son Jonathan, daughter Emma, for supporting this vector and venue of outreach for this information to be given into the populations. And so Amelia Santara and family from Ireland in the county of Kerry, or I should say the kingdom of Kerry, thank you. Thank you for providing this service for people. I would also like to thank Eileen Laurel for her help and assistance in the many ways that she does that and has done that over the years. I would like to thank Liz, who is organizing the Boston Kundalini Awakening Seminar. This will be the first time that this information has been given on the East Coast of the United States. And so Liz, I really thank you for that, and I would like to give out Liz's email address. It is LZHAO6, and that's the number 6, at Comcast.net. If anybody who is listening is interested in attending the Boston Kundalini Awakening Seminar, you would want to register with Liz, and her email is LZHAO, the number 6, at Comcast.net. And I would like to thank Liz for her assistance and help in bringing this to life for the people on the East Coast. Let's see. I'd like to thank Barbara Berry for providing the ashram that we're in. It's not a big, huge, honking thing. It's just a 2-bedroom 1947 house, but let me tell you, it works great for us at this point in time. So thank you to Barbara. And I'd like to thank you to all of you who are listening. I'd like to thank you who are listening in the present time right now. And I would like to thank those of you who are listening in the future on the archives. And so thank you all for being here today and tomorrow, and however many tomorrows that may be. So today we're talking about the visitations by divine consciousness. This is not as uncommon as it might seem. It's a fairly common experience that people have with regards to the Kundalini. I mean, especially when you're deeply involved in a belief system, and it can be any belief system, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the belief system that you have today. It can be the belief system that you were raised with when you were a child. It can even be a belief system that you had in a previous life that may not be honoring in this life. So if you were a Hindu in a previous life and you're pretty much, say, without religion in this life, well then the Hindu celestial beings may come to you in a waking vision. Now these waking visions are real. They are a real interaction of a divine realm and upon the physical realm. I don't want you to ever have this occur and then think, oh, that was just my imagination. Within a Kundalini context, there is no such thing as just my imagination. In many ways, the imagination is real, and that includes the detrimental ways. When you let your ego get a hold of your fears inside of a Kundalini awakening event, well, you can actually create a very, very difficult scenario for yourself to work through with regards to fears. So you want to know this, you want to understand this, and Kundalini is very much about controlling your mind, controlling how you think. How you think is so very important. And you get to have that control. No longer does your ego get to have that control. Okay? So when this type of an experience occurs for you, you need to take it at face value. Take it at face value. And many of the teachings that will come to you from this will be beyond the spoken word. Beyond the spoken word. Amelia, Santara, have you had experiences in these areas?
Yes, I have indeed. I was raised as a Christian, as a Catholic, but I haven't had visions from that experience. My visions came from what I didn't realize at the time was of a Hindu, has a Hindu flavor to it. So I saw what I now know were Hindu goddesses envisioned, particularly during my Kundalini awakening event in 2007. And I also heard during this time the word Vishnu, which I didn't understand what that was. I would have heard the word Krishna, I suppose, before, but I had never heard the word Vishnu. And this was also said over and over during these visions. And I suppose I also found myself saying those words like a vocal kriya, and I knew that it was the name of God, and I knew that the visions were divine. I could feel what it was, even though I didn't really understand at the time, if you know what I mean, in a sort of a cognitive way.
Well, it's interesting that the Kundalini would bring to you the religion of a past life, probably knowing that the religion that you were practicing in this life would not have any reference points for the Kundalini.
That is very true. It would not have had any reference points at that time for me. That has changed, but it would not have had any reference points. As a matter of fact, with a lot, if I had had visions of, looking back on it, if I had had those visions, I'm not sure it would not have been helpful. Kundalini knows what it's doing, Chrism.
Yeah. No, I can understand that completely. And this is not uncommon. I mean, even since that you and I started working together in a close teacher-student relationship, you have also had some waking visions, yes?
Oh, yes. I have often had waking visions. They're not always of deities, but I've often had absolute waking visions that are completely real. Totally and absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I just want people to understand that when they see members of the animal kingdom coming to them in a waking vision, that is as much a divine personage as Christ or Buddha or Krishna or Vishnu would be. It's just an older version of the divine than some of the current belief system deities that are coming in. Like, if you look at Hinduism, that is basically a form of a shamanic belief system. Where they take elephants and they're taking serpents and they're taking monkey gods and things of that nature. And so shamanic, according to the region of India where it was developed, so many years ago, would be actually relevant to the shamanic cultures of Siberia and the Amazon basin, where they have their own experiences with the Kundalini. And in the Amazon, that much of that experience is brought about by the ingestion of ayahuasca, where the great serpent is typically seen, or bejeweled serpents are seen and can be communicated with. They're not shy about letting you know where you're maybe a bit off in how you are experiencing and expressing yourself in life. And if you go up into the Siberian regions, a lot of the Kundalini awakenings and the shamanic vision journeys would be around the Amanita muscaria mushroom. And you'll have to forgive the other phone ringing. I'm not going to answer it, but you'll hear it for a few seconds here.
Well,
so
I have had. Sorry, Chrism.
Go ahead.
I mean, what you're saying there is very true, because I have had waking visions of a Black Panther. I have had a waking vision of a wolf that is as real as my dog that is in my home. And these definitely were, I mean, okay, they're not as I would have been, as I would have seen deities to be, but they were most definitely from my Kundalini, and it was a communication from my Kundalini, without a doubt.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And so these types of waking visions, they take form in many different ways. It will not always be the current belief system that is being honored. It will often be another belief system that adds a little more reference point to the Kundalini that is occurring. And one of the reasons this is the case is due to the paucity or the lack of real authentic knowledge that we have in the West of the Kundalini. You know, we have people like Gopi Krishna and Dr. Lee Sanella and a very few others that have had the actual authentic experience, and yet even they go somewhat unheard of in society. And a lot of that is because, you know, when a person isn't ready to know about the Kundalini, they will not be allowed to know about the Kundalini. They may benefit from being in the proximity of a Kundalini awakened person or receiving a treatment as Santara gives with the Kundalini infused therapeutic touch, but they won't know about the Kundalini. It's just not their time to have this yet, but they can still be affected in a positive way. With regards to some of the more known objects and consciousness of worship, such as Jesus Christ, or Gautama, or Buddha, Krishna, and many of the other, like angelic consciousness. This is a very real thing. I've had the Christ. We have a special room here at the ashram where Amelia was just habitating and sleeping, and that is called the White Room, only because, it took me a long time to paint that thing white. But it's called the White Room, and the Christ has appeared in that room for students. And these are people who have, they had no idea who this was. They waited to see me the next day, come into my office and see a picture of Christ on the wall and point to that picture. Who's that man? Who is that person? And I say, well, why do you ask? And they say, well, that's the one, this person showed up in my bedroom, at the side of my bed, looking at me, and imparted, information about forgiveness and things of that nature. And so with this person, she didn't even know who it was. And so once again, you have the divine personage, the deity coming to the person through the awakened Kunalini and beginning to give a series of teachings for a person. And I say series of teachings because that one incident is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. It doesn't just happen and then it goes away. It stays with a person, and the Kundalini itself will begin to work with that person along the lines of the teaching that was given. And some of the teaching is just the relevancy of having a celestial being there in your bedroom with you. The relevancy of that. Now, and as you who are listening to this come into your Kundalini and begin to accept the divine guidance from the Kundalini, you have the opportunity to partake of these visitations in a much greater way. Yes, you will still be surprised. You'll be quite surprised. It'll be an amazing level of surprise. But as you have been given this reference point in this radio show today, you won't be as maybe blown away as you otherwise would have been. And this is not a bad thing. It'll give you time to really be grateful for the experience that you're having, and maybe even formulate a bond of communication, if that is to be given. It's not always to be given. Sometimes it's just the presentation of the celestial being there in front of you, and therein lies a whole series of books on the teachings of the great masters, and how celestial beings do indeed exist, and because they exist, what their presence means to you as an individual, and where you might want to look at looking into and studying and reviewing the teachings of that specific individual that the Kundalini has invited into your presence. So it's very important. But here I want to give out the phone numbers. This is if you want to call in and ask a question or make a comment. The phone number is 347-934-0026. That's 347-934-0026. And myself or Centaura we're here waiting for your call with bated breath, wondering what it is you will be able to add into the equation of this radio broadcast today. So Jesus Christ is fairly, shall we say, proactive in appearing to people with the Kundalini. These things that he did, you can do and more. And this is an extrapolation from a quote that he has made that is written in the King James Version of the Bible. These things I do, you can do and more. And this is the Kundalini. This is what we're talking about now is part of what he's given to us to understand. And the churches, and many of the organized belief systems don't want people to really focus on that, because it might seemingly take away some of their power over the populations that attend them. But Kundalini is that special grace. It is that seed of the divine within us that allows us to have these experiences. Many times, a person will see the divine personage of whatever belief system, like, say, for Amelia was Vishnu, for other people it's Buddha, for other people it's Christ, for other people it's Allah, or a representation of what Allah would be. And they see this divine personage in a vision of unity, or a unity consciousness vision. Some of this, you're going to hear me struggling to put some of this into words, because it goes so far outside of the speech, the verbal, it's way outside of that. The feeling of it, the experience of it. It's like, it's a form of rapture, it's a form of bliss and ecstasy and rapture, all mixed together. You'll see Buddha in every little grain or a pebble of rock that your actual physical eye can make out. You'll see Buddha in every leaf, in every drop of the rain that is falling. You'll feel the Christ in the same way, or Vishnu in the same way, or Shiva or Shakti in the same way. You will see an overriding serpent. Let me turn this down a little bit here and put that out there. You'll see an overriding huge serpent on the horizon of your visual consciousness. You'll always see it, and it's very much like the Isis serpent from the Egyptian mystery schools, the Egyptian belief system. Isis overarches our human experience, and she's elongated in the way a serpent would be elongated. And this is also a way that people are able to discern the divine personage. And this is a waking vision. One of my students has this waking vision, And she will see this at will. Whenever I ask her to look, or she just wants to look for whatever reason, she will see the giant Isis serpent there, and she communicates with it. Most of the celestial visitations are temporary. Not all of them, though. If you look at Saint Bernadette Subaru of the Catholic belief system from the 1850s, she was visited by the Shakti Kundalini 18 times. Now, of course, they didn't call it the Shakti Kundalini. They assumed it was the Virgin Mary, even though the apparition itself never laid claim to being of a Christian origin. But if you look at the instructions that were given to Bernadette, from displays of surrender to extreme piety to all of these different instructions that were given to her at 18 different times, you see a Kundalini picture emerging within that understanding. You see and especially those of you that have the Kundalini, if you look at St. Bernadette's experience, you'll see very, very strong Kundalini signature in the quality and the type of instructions that were given to the 14-year-old St. Bernadette at the time. So it isn't always a temporary visitation. It can be an elongated visitation, and it can be repeated over and over and over. And so I want you to be aware of that and be okay with that. And especially, if it's counter to the current religion or belief system that you practice, you really want to honor whatever the belief system that is being shown to you, because from a past life expression, you will not have always been a Christian. You will not have always been a Hindu. You will not have always been Islamic. Okay. You will not have always been shamanic. Different lives allow for different spiritual experiences and expressions to be achieved. And for whatever the reason, the Kundalini may want to show you something that is completely different than what you currently practice. And there is a lesson for you in that. One of the lessons being that all belief systems, all belief rituals and pieties and books, the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, all of the different books that occur, all lead one into the Kundalini. It is a path into the Kunalini, always. Let's see. I see Shruti. I would like to welcome Shruti to
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for calling. How may I help you today?
Thank you. So I've been interested in Kundalini awakening, and I was wondering if you had any guidance for me in terms of continuing.
Oh yes. First of all, I want to congratulate you for even having the interest. Even knowing the word, you can see that as a form of an invitation for you. Okay? Most people do not understand. I mean, you have to get through a few barriers of ignorance first before you can come into the level of the question that you just asked. And the first one is absolute ignorance about, the Sanskrit word of Kundalini at all. Mm-hmm. And then the second level would be, differentiating that from Reiki or Kundalini yoga, which are very different from the actual awakened state of the Kundalini. So Shruti, congratulations to you for coming through those two barriers.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So what would your guidance be?
I'm sorry, say again?
Yes, so what would your guidance be for me? And then I have a follow-up question.
Okay, very good. The first thing I will have you do is to begin a conversation with your Kundalini within. You could just even call it my Kundalini. And so you say, hello, my Kundalini, I greet you, and I welcome your expression into my life. You can make those words a mantra.
Okay.
Do you know what a mantra is, Shruti?
Yes.
So you can make words like that, or words that coming to the similar way, a mantra. And then I'm going to guide you to the Kundalini Awakening Systems1.com website. So that's Kundalini Awakening Systems, all one word, and then you put a number 1 on the end of that. And so that's all part of the one word, Kundalini Awakening Systems1.com. And then I will suggest you go to the left-hand menu, and you'll see the safety protocols. It's about the 4th one down.
Yes, I'm there right now. So
and
the safeties.
And copy that off. Copy that off 2 or 3 times. Leave a copy in your car, a copy in your bedroom, your living room, and really begin to invite Kundalini into your life in a very real and present way. And follow those protocols. Don't just follow the physical ones, though. Yes, the physical ones, the meditation and the breathing and the 5 Tibetans, those are all very important. But just as important are the emotional, behavioral practices such as forgiveness. Forgiveness holds a very, very high place in the positive functioning of a Kundalini awakening experience. So do your forgivenesses and forgive other people for whatever they have done to you, and forgive yourself for whatever part you have played in it. And then from there you can go into gratitude. Gratitude for the Kundalini coming to your life. Gratitude for the people that have helped you along this path. And then you can move into tolerance and honesty and truth and diligence and practice and all those things. So that is where I would direct you to go first, Shruti.
Okay. So here's my question for you. In terms of how you mentioned, you have to follow these precepts of forgiveness and gratitude and, all the other ones. How do you feel like, okay, you've forgiven someone and you've accomplished that, but then time passes by and then the thought comes back again? Or, about gratitude, right? You generally...
it depends on the power of the experience. If someone assaulted you in some terrible way, robbing you or raping you, this would be on your mind for a long time. And so you need to give that forgiveness that will be equivalent to the amount of time that you may have spent thinking about it or reliving that experience. And so in the idea of a very harsh experience, your forgiveness needs to go on for a much longer time than if somebody cut you off on the freeway and you just go, okay, fine. So a lot of it is going to depend on you.
Okay. And that's the thing, right, that generally we are, you work on forgiveness, but the people and everybody, they're still in your life. So there are still trigger points that happen, right? And once the trigger comes up and realize, okay, you've gotten angry, then you realize, you haven't really, though you feel it, you thought that you had forgiven that person, you obviously have not because it's still triggering you.
Well, actually, you have forgiven them to the degree you can that moment, right? But you can also still look forward to rediscovering other areas within you that reverberate with the need for forgiveness in that particular situation. So, it does. You do want to bring it on for a while. It doesn't last forever. You'll get to a point, Shruti, where you don't really think about that one instance anymore. You jump to another one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that you jump to, but it's still a trigger, or they do something and you get angry at them, right? So you're not thinking about the previous situation, but it's like this situation, you're angry, so you're like, okay, I haven't forgiven this person because they can still trigger you.
If they're still in your life, like say a
they're
spouse
still in my
or
life,
a child or something like that, if
it's family, right?
They keep repeating, if they keep repeating the same thing that
same patterns, right?
Right. Well, then there's a level of tolerance that you can bring into the situation because obviously they're not changing, and your irritation or your insistence that they change their behavior isn't working. And so then, instead of becoming revengeful or retributional, then you initiate a level of tolerance, and you see it as a way of bringing you to a higher level of your own Kundalini spiritual experience by being able to not be bothered by that continuous violation of your peace, so to speak.
Okay. And what is that tolerance technique that you have found to be helpful? Do you just say, okay, what have you used?
What you do is you control your thoughts. And if you control your thinking, you can in many ways control how you feel about a certain thing. So if you change your thoughts around whatever that problem is that somebody is giving to you, if you change your thoughts around it, you change the level of motion around it, you can turn it into a very positive spiritual experience for yourself. You have to change the way. So let's say, Chrism, you're chewing gum while you're giving your interview, and it's really irritating me when you blow those bubbles and you snap pop them, and oh my gosh, can you just spit it out?
Yes. Yes, it's triggers like that, right? Triggers the small things like that, and you notice yourself getting angry, getting irritated. So it's like, okay.
And of course, you're saying that to me while you're listening to the show, so I don't hear you, and I keep on doing it. Okay.
That's exactly.
And then as I keep on doing it, and you hear the smack, 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 pop, 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 smack, pop. You begin to. Well, I'm gonna change my thoughts around this. Every time I hear him smack and pop, I'm going to feel it as a bubble of Kundalini that is releasing in me and purging me of this irritation that I have with his behavior. I'm going to forgive him, and I'm going to tolerate it. Not only will I tolerate it, I'm going to turn it into something positive for me. And boom, there you've just totally healed the situation for yourself. You're coming out very much ahead of the game when you're able to change an irritation into a positivity.
And more into a joy or something fun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good suggestion. So thank you for that. The other question I have is regarding heat sensations. Is that also a sign of Kundalini, or?
Very often, yes. Very often, you'll feel heat in the bottoms of the soles of your feet, the palms of your hand, the top of your head. Often it will move of its own to different parts of the body, and sometimes you'll feel extreme heat in those areas, complemented by extreme cold or extreme frigidity. And as this frigid, extreme cold courses up the spine or is in the top of the head or the palms of the feet, you'll get this great level of hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold everywhere. In addition with a cool breeze being blown into your face. So, I mean, it can come in different ways, but the heat is an activity of the sacred male, and the heat is a very common feature of a Kundalini awakening.
Okay.
Do you have that, Shruti? Do you have that?
I have that, but not like the sentence you mentioned. It's more where it's in my heart chakra. It just gets unbelievably hot, and
really
sometimes
hot?
also felt I've also noticed in my on my forehead, more for third eye, and the crown. It's like, and
that's wonderful.
That becomes so hot that it's like it affects the whole face. The source is over there, but I can feel the heat on the whole face.
Are you feeling deep? Are you feeling deep experiences of love?
Deep experience of love. I had felt that a few years back, but that had happened over a course of 3 nights. But I've not felt that again. So it's and I was wondering if we maybe have imagined it, But that is what had triggered me to start becoming more serious about getting more interested in Kundalini. That experience.
Well, there you go. Then it served its
the
purpose.
Oneness and the oneness and the knowing of, Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Exactly. It served its purpose for you. I don't want you to wait for that loving embrace of everybody and everything to make its appearance for you again. I want you to just go right out into that. You remember what it felt like, and so now replicate that feeling through your loving interpretation and interaction with people and the environment, social and environmental around you. Step right into it. Okay?
Okay. I'll try. I try to use that as a guidance. But it's tough because that feeling was so you can't explain it. You just cannot explain it. You are in there, and it's an experience. That's all I can say. And trying to recreate that, it's difficult. I would like to be there. I definitely want to be there.
What you'll do to recreate that is because you're feeling the heat in your heart chakra, whenever you feel that heat is when you will coincide that intentional appreciation of the all that is in your heart. Mm-hmm. So whenever you feel that heat, bring on that appreciation, that gratitude, and let that begin to take its control over you.
Okay. That's a very good suggestion. That is very good. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome, Shri.
Thank you. So I'll keep on listening to you. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for calling in.
Thanks.
Okay. I would like to say thank you, Shruti, for calling in, and thank you for listening today. And if anybody else would like to call in, the call-in number is 347-934-0026. And I welcome any and all calls, about the Kunalini, like Shruti. Shruti has very, very good questions about the Kunalini, and I want to thank her and honor her for her thoughtful questions regarding this amazing divine experience that we all have the opportunity to have. These are the type of teachings that the Kundalini will bring into a person as a visitation from a celestial divine being. Christ is very much, from my experiences with him, very much along the lines of forgiveness. If you see the bejeweled snakes or the serpents, giant anaconda-type serpents, well, they will tell you maybe that you're too wrapped up into your mental mind. You have far too much of an ego-based appreciation of your own mental prowess, and they'll come right out and tell you don't know so much. They'll say that to you. They'll say you don't know so much, and then they'll start to show you how it is that you don't know so much. So you gotta be careful not to get so wrapped up into the jewels, the beautiful, beautiful colors and shine and sparkle of the skin on these serpents. I mean, these are ayahuasca serpents, and it can be very, very exhilarating and take your mind off of some of the questions that you might want to ask or some of the things that they want to say to you. I have seen snakes like these, only mine have been much, much larger than something that would just share the same ground with you. Mine have been the size of a planet. And so all the conversation take place in space. And yes, even though it's not of the planet, you see it, you experience it in a double reality. So here I am, giving this radio interview right now, and at the same time, I'm having the conversation with the Shakti serpent in a place of space, outside, say, the Earth orbit. I know how that might sound to people, and I invite you to make all the jokes possible. I think it's pretty good. But anyway, these celestial divine experiences last a lifetime. They never go away. They're like burned into your awareness, and they really provide an excellent fulcrum for a person, say like Trudy, who has received the invitation to come deeper into the Kundalini. And so when she experiences a divine personage that is suitable to her as through the expression of her own Kundalini, well, then that experience will be imprinted onto her soul, and it will be something that constantly gives her a level of guidance and assurance that she is indeed on a divine path, and that there is no more a need to follow, say, the psychological, assumption that, it was just the imagination. There is, as I mentioned earlier, there is no, it was just the imagination. These things are real. They're just not real in the same 5-sense way that a scientist or an MD or PhD might understand things as being. And those are the folks who kind of set the standard for what is real and isn't real on our planet for many people. And I'm just going to tell you straight up that's not the case. That is not. That is a very limited and narrow understanding of the multiverse and of creation. And even though they recognize more than a few dimensions, they don't recognize the collected creation of each of those dimensions and how they may interact with our dimension here. Pre-Kundalini, yes, you may have some dreams that are of a fantastic nature, and you may have some dreams that are experiences that are suggestive of, say, a difficult work environment or something of that nature. After the Kundalini comes, though, there is no such thing as a dream that does not have a Kundalini imprint and teaching upon it. And many times, these celestial beings that come to you will remind you of a dream that you had. Remember the dream that you had when you were flying over a lake of a clear water lake full of beautiful orange goldfish. Do you remember that? And you'll say, oh, yeah, because immediately the memory will come to mind. And the divine personage may say something on the level of, yes, this is your opportunity to express creativity of life within your life. Create something that is helpful to another person. Create a beautiful work of art. Create a child. Create something with a divine inspiration. And, if you follow this, you will go out and you will do such a thing. It doesn't have to be any one or all of the above, but it has to be something that would correlate with what the clear water and the orange of the fish and the fact that it's a fish swimming through the water, and the divine personage is pointing out these many, 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 many different facets and opportunities of teaching and learning that this particular vision would have. And yes, I did have this vision. This is from my own experience. Let's see. Santara, do you have anything to add?
I was wondering if you were going to ask me, and I thought in that moment I've gone completely blank. If you can remember anything that you want to share about me, please feel free. The one thing I wouldn't mind sharing actually was a waking vision that happened recently during my trip with regard to the spider. Would that be okay?
That would be fine.
Okay. Well, I was in a room.
Give them the background, Centaurus. Pardon me for interrupting. Give them a complete background of what's going on here.
Okay. Well, I was on my trip, and we were visiting Tombstone, Arizona. and we were staying at a hotel that was very old, and we were told that it was haunted, and we were aware of this. And we also were aware in Tombstone of entities being present all over the place. I mean, we were very aware of it. And that night, I was inside in the room, and the door opened directly onto the street. And suddenly, I could see through the door. And this isn't a dream. This is one of those that I could see through the door, and outside the door, a spider, began to form, began to grow up, and I knew that it was the Kundalini spider. It was Kundalini manifesting in the form of a spider, and it was huge. It was not quite as tall as a person, but it covered the whole door, and I knew that it was there as a protection, that it was there between us and the entities that were moving in a very threatening way up and down the street. And just after that, I heard a noise I had never heard before, and it travelled down the street and it travelled up the street. And I was so aware, and I could see this big Kundalini spider standing outside the door for me, and in that also I knew that is always the case for me. Always the case for me.
Yes, and before we even checked into that motel, we drove through town going, well, what's the big deal about Tombstone, Arizona? Neither of us having been there before. And we pulled up outside the city limits, reflecting on what we've just driven through, and was basically there was one hotel, I think, one cafe, and we wondered what the big deal was. And the gentleman said, "Oh, you went past the budget motel? Well, that's the one where I work at. I'm an assistant manager there." And so, of course, we he gave us a few pointers on where to see the OK Corral and all of those things. And for those who are listening internationally, in the 1880s there was a big gunfight by armed men with copious amounts of whiskey in them, I might add. And it was called the gunfight at the OK Corral. And it's a big historical type of thing here in the Southwest United States, and so it's quite famous. And so, of course, people from all over the world come to look at where Wyatt Earp and the Clantons had their fateful shootout. And so we were there, and what we learned subsequently was that the motel that we were staying in was one of only two original buildings in the town of Tombstone. And our motel had been the livery stable before it was changed into a budget motel. It was for many, 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 many years, it was the livery stable. And then another structure in town was called the Birdcage Theater, and that had been absolutely closed down, walled up for about 50 years after the town closed due to a flood. And it had been kept in its original pristine 1880s condition, everything with bullet holes in the walls, bullet holes in the ceiling, bullet holes in the floors, bullet holes in the bars, and bloody billiard tables, and oh my gosh, I mean, card tables all over the place. There's a very, very heavy spiritual signature to that place. And as we went and put our things in our room at the motel, we both immediately felt the entities. That's fine, that's no big deal. That's fairly common with Kundalini people. You'll feel the entity. And we went to a midnight tour of the Birdcage Theater, where people go to see the paranormal. And if you look at Centaura's photographs, I think she may have posted some on the Yahoo site and on the Facebook site. She was able to capture some very, very interesting orb phenomena, spiritual consciousness that is captured by a digital flash, and orb phenomena of a hexagonal quality. So a hexagon that had been closed by a circle, so a circle around a hexagon. Very, very interesting things. And, of course, for me, none of it seemed really that astounding, but for the other people there, they were quite enthusiastic about their experience with it. But coming back, after that tour, we realized that the street that we were on was like the bloodiest street in the whole town. I mean, if you wanted to die, then you would have a gunfight at Allen and 5th Street in the town of Tombstone. And I think hundreds of people died that way in that one spot, that one intersection, a block away from a very, very short block away from our motel. I mean, you could see it. You could see it from our doorway. You could see where the people were gunfighting and killing each other in duels and various other activities. And so, of course, there was that heavy, heavy, heavy patina of entity spiritual involvement. A lot of it was negative. Many of these individuals did not move on because of the level of the vibrational evolution that they were currently experiencing. And many of them were still looking to cause mischief for people. And this is what the Shakti spider at the door was not going to allow to enter into our room. And, of course, I'm very grateful to the Shakti for doing that. There were other entities inside the motel itself, but, the more you worry about them, the more irritating they are. So I just stopped worrying about them. And if you don't give them a handle to hold on to, then they can't hold on. So, yeah, but that vision that Santara is describing as a giant Shakti spider is not an uncommon vision. That happens more than once. That also happened to me in the early days of my activation with the Kundalini. Giant spider. Huge. And if you don't know what's going on, of course it's going to scare you to death. But if you do know what's going on, you can actually say thank you. And I'll recommend that all of you. What's that?
Yes, I knew it. So there was no fear, and I was in deep gratitude. I knew it was wonderful now.
Well, yeah, and I'm really glad you brought up that particular waking vision because that is one that happens for a lot of people. I have students right now that as they're awake, just laying in bed, watching the sunlight come into the room, they'll also see butterflies or a spider, larger than normal spider coming down. Sometimes they're colored gold or silver or they're sparkling. Sometimes they're black. Sometimes they're red. I mean, sometimes they're a white spider. And these are all spiders of the Kundalini that are sent to you by the Kundalini to let you know that Kundalini is alive and well in your life, but not to depend on it, not to depend on the vision for validation. Trust that once you have Kundalini opened and activated in you, it's not going away. It's not going to go away ever. It will stay with you the rest of your life. And as you harmonize with it, and as you research information about it, as you open yourself to the information it wants to give to you, so do you nourish that validation of its presence in you, and so will that presence gain strength and importance to you in your life. Some of you who are listening to this have a very, very competent and connected connection to your Kundalini. People in Europe, Northern Europe, people in India, people in Australia, United States, Brazil, Peru. There are people out there right now who listen to this radio show, and I know they do because I work with them outside of it, that have a very deep, deep connection with this force within them. And it is to you that I'm speaking to in such a way. Allow yourself to be affected by these celestial divine visitations, whether they take animal form or human form or just the form of a ball of energy. Let your Kundalini speak to you. Do not relegate it to the activities of the imagination, because once you have Kundalini, imagination does not come into it anymore. Kundalini uses the dream life and the vision, the apparatus of vision appreciation, which would be the pineal gland, third eye, as ways to communicate its teachings to you. And it's very important that you understand that and that you honor that and you let that occur for you. Let it occur for you. Don't block your information based upon the science that's around you. And don't get the idea that I'm anti-science. I am not. I'm very appreciative of the science and the technology in the internet and on the cell phone and the ability to reach many, many, many people all at once. It's very, very beautiful and very good. And science definitely has a piece of my heart. But it does not. It's not the whole thing. It's not the answer to all questions. Certainly not the question of the Kundalini. That doesn't lie in the manipulation of matter, or the manipulation of radio waves or light waves or any of those waves. That lies in the human heart and in the divine repository of energetic expression in the tailbone, the last three vertebrae of the tailbone. So really, really understand that. I love science. I love scientists, but it's not the answers to everything. It's an answer to some of the things, though, and I want that to be known that I do honor science and I do honor the expression of science. Let's see. Somebody's asking a question on this. Is it about the embodiment of the Kundalini? Let's see. Centaur, have you been following that?
No, actually, I have not. No.
This is to Aloha J. So hello, Aloha J, if you're still logged in. And I think, are you asking is the devout Andrew James? Hello, Andrew James. So is this? Is your question is the appearance of a celestial divine being an embodiment, about the embodiment of the Kundalini? Is that what you're asking? Hello, Andrew. If that is what you're asking, then I'm going to say yes and no at the same time. I'm going to say yes because there's Aloha J. Hello, Aloha J. And Andrew. Oh, no, it is not about that. Okay. Well, can you kind of ask me the question perhaps in a different way? You have to have awakened Kundalini typically. Now, I'm not going to go real absolutist on this, but you typically will have the awakened Kundalini in order to have a divine visitation. However, Saint Bernadette didn't have Kundalini when she was visited by the Kundalini, so I would have to say it is not absolutely necessary. So it would not be about that. And I see you're typing Aloha J, so let's see. Oh, the feeling of I. Well, you have two eyes. You have the big eye and you have the little eye. The little eye would be that of the ego, and the big eye would be that of the all that is. Not I am. Okay. So Aloha J is asking if and forgive me if I don't get this right because I'm reading it, is it about the embodiment of the Kunalini? And it's not the I, but not the I am, but that which is of a divine nature. And so not the I am, but the I that is, the isness of all things is what that would be about, Aloha Che. The isness of all things. And if you're truly in Hawaii, you might look up Aumakua. Aumakua is the Hawaiian Polynesian term of an aspect of the awakened Kundalini. Aumakua. So with that in mind, the divine celestial visitation is a life changer, and it shows you the multiplicity of creation and how it will indeed come and interact with you on a physical level, just the same ways that the automatic movements from the Kriyas will come and interact with you on a physical level. And the same way that the heat has come to Shruti and is interacting with her on a physical level. Well, these divine personages will come custom to you. So the Kundalini will invite that individual personage or assume the form of that individual celestial divine being as is appropriate to the individual. As is appropriate to the individual. So Shruti will have it come to her in a way that is appropriate to her. Centaur will have it come to her in a way that is appropriate to her. Chrism will have one come to him in the way that is appropriate to him. As will Andrew James or Aloha J or Guest 3607, whoever that is. Okay? It will come to you because, first of all, the Kundalini is intimate to you. It is of you. It knows you better than you know yourself. And in that knowledge of you, it can create a situation by which you can interact on a awakened physical level. And I mean awakened being you're not dreaming, you're not asleep. Okay? Let's just say it's in the middle of the afternoon and you're sitting in your chair and you're about ready to have a snack and boom. There's the divine personage coming to you, floating on a cloud, sitting on a carpet, looking at you, smiling, and nodding to you to come with him. And then you come with him, but you don't know whether it's your physical body coming or not. But you go, and you learn, and you're taught, and you learn, and you're taught. And then the next thing you know, you're sitting in your chair about ready to reach for a potato chip, organic free range, of course. Okay. The line between the two realities can become extremely blurred to the point of disappearing. Now, without knowledge of this can be a very, very, very difficult thing to experience. It's scary because you begin to question, well, what is real? What is real? I just saw Ramakrishna come to me floating on a cloud, sitting on a carpet, and we went for a carpet ride, and it felt like we spent days and days and days being taught, and I was listening and I was interacting with this divine personage, and all of a sudden I'm back sitting in my chair reaching for a free-range organic potato chip. Reminds me of a story, of a Sufi story. A king, a big king back in the desert days, heard about this powerful Sufi coming to him and coming on to his kingdom. And he ordered his men to go out and apprehend this Sufi and bring him into the presence of the king. And the king asked this Sufi master, and he says, well, if you're a Sufi, then show me what you can do. Show me something that only you can do that cannot be replicated by me or anyone in my kingdom. And the Sufi says, well, what would you like What would you like to have occur? And the king responded, well, do something that no one else can do, and that I will know that it was you who did it. And the Sufi slightly turned to his right and then spun to his left. And the next thing the king knew is that he was waking up on the side, on a beach near the ocean, on the side of the ocean. And the waves were kind of crashing around him. And he got up, and he was no longer a king. He was dressed in normal clothing, and he had to walk to the village. And he walked down the beach, and there's the village. And he walks to the village, and nobody knows him. And he's there for he makes friends with the people, and he starts to live as one among them. And he takes a wife and raises a family, and is a fisherman. He takes the job of a fisherman, and he dies. And as soon as he dies, he wakes up back in his throne with the Sufi staring at him, asking him, was that good enough? Are you convinced? Well, this is the type of thing that can happen with the Kundalini. Not typically, though. You have to really, you have to go out and challenge a Sufi or a powerful person within the Kundalini to give that kind of a teaching. But it can happen, and it does happen. Other things that can happen are, the floor will all of a sudden fragment beneath your feet, and you'll be falling through space, and pretty soon as you fall, you'll notice that something is watching you and following you, and it forms itself into a celestial being. And the celestial being may have a few questions for you. And the next thing you know, you're opening the door to go into the bathroom before the floor fell out from under you. And there you are once again, opening the door to go into the bathroom. And the floor is just as solid as you could be. And there's no line of disembarkation or embarkation line. There's nothing there that you would have, but you have a memory, complete memory of the experience. You have a complete memory of the experience. So there's a dual reality, and the dualists and the non-dualists, they love to think that it's their way and all other ways are just not theirs. Like it's either all one, we're all one, oneness blessing, da-da-da-da. And the other one is going, oh, no, it's obvious we have a bicameral brain, we have two eyes, we have two feet, we have two genders, and so they're the non-dualists. And their way is right because it's represented by nature. And the Kundalini says, no, you can both be right at the same time. So, in experiencing a celestial divinity, you can be dual and non-dual at the same time. You can be of this reality and not of this reality at the same time. The two realities can overlay and blend and then dissolve. So the divine overlay can dissolve and just leave the physical and leave you where you are in the physical reality. Another form of celestial divine visitation is through the shaman traveling. As the shaman it's got an adult person in front of the shaman and is having certain problems, and the shaman goes into the trance and journeys to the three heavens, and the three heavens represent areas within the shamanic belief system where certain principles reside, and one of those principles will be a power animal will appear, and this is a familiar animal for the shaman to partake of, and so we'll use Centaurus wolf. So the wolf appears to Centaurus. She's a shaman. Is that okay, Centaura? Can I make you a shaman?
Yes, that's okay.
Thank you. Okay, so shaman Centaura is seeing a patient, and the patient has some unrequited fears of, violence in their lives, and so shaman Centaura goes into her trance, and she travels to the three heavens, and she calls upon her power animal to appear before her. And there's the beautiful wolf that appears before her. And she asks us, like, this poor person, Chrism, he seems to be having some problems with unrequited fears in his life. And the wolf who can communicate in this realm says, then I will find what is happening for this person. The wolf will find fractured areas of the soul where, say, a person may have experienced extreme trauma as a child, and that extreme trauma continues to have a burgeoning active signature upon their life. And the wolf comes back and says, yes, I have found the shard of a soul that Chrism had as a child, and that was fractured away due to the intensity of the fear that he experienced. And now I give it to you, Shaman Santara, to begin to welcome that shard of his, or that fractured part of his soul, back to him. And so in that way, another active and intentional communication with the celestial divinity can be attained. And this is how one learns to walk in the heavenly fields. Is one of the main ways is through the service of other people, giving people healings or working for the benefit of others who may not be able to help themselves. So that's another example of a shamanistic version of a divine celestial visitation that can happen every day for them. And let me tell you, the more you interact on an intentional level, the greater the communication strength becomes. But the one thing that I do want to differentiate is that this is not working with entities. This is not working with entities. This is only working through the design and the signature of the awakened Kundalini. Okay, so this is not Reiki in that sense. You don't need sigils or tattoos or drawings or anything of that level. You don't need an attunement. None of these types of things. These are aspects of the awakened Kundalini, and though others can kind of try to present themselves that way, it is not. It is not that way. You need to be very, very, very discerning when you're exploring these areas with other people. What I will suggest you do is I will suggest that you find a teacher or a source of information that has knowledge that already resonates with your Kundalini. Already resonates with your Kundalini. Let yourself go with that resonance. Let yourself become infused with the information that your Kundalini resonates with. Okay. Don't go for the expensive thing because you get what you pay for, because you don't always get what you pay for. Don't go for the inexpensive thing because it's the only thing that you can afford, because some things are free. Some good things are free. Okay. Be very, very discerning. Have that conversation with the Kundalini, as I mentioned to Shruti. Have that conversation with the Kundalini and begin to look at it from that perspective. If you wish to contact me privately, well, you can do so. And that email address is kfireforall. So that's KFIREFORALL @yahoo.com. And another way you can reach me is on Facebook at chrism.kundalini. And we have some communities out there that you can partake of as well. And one is in the Yahoo network, Yahoo groups, and it's called Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo groups. And we also have the same group on Facebook under the same name, Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 Facebook group. And we also have the Facebook group of Kundalini ! And we also have a Kundalini Ashram group on Facebook, as well as Kundalini Healing on Facebook. And we have Kundalini Healing on Yahoo as well. So there are plenty of communities for you to partake of within the Kundalini Awakening Systems network of communities, so that you can kind of just feel your way around and see what you think and partake in ways that you feel are appropriate to you. Believe these divine celestial visitations. They are real. The closest thing to being unreal is to not validate the blending of the divine upon the physical reality. Don't do that. Validate this blending. Let it teach you. And allow yourself to be moved by it. You will be typically moved by it in a very deep and beautiful way. What accompanies these divine visitations is a level of bliss and ecstasy that goes beyond words. I just can't, there are no words to explain the amount of love and joy and ecstatic presence that comes with these visitations. And as I mentioned to Shruti, feel the heat in your heart. Feel the grace beginning to express itself through your heart. And if you felt the real pull before a few years ago, as I mentioned to Shruti, well, use that memory to reinvigorate that experience for you, and then begin to live your life through that reinvigoration of love for all that is. For the all that is. Really begin to harmonize that way. I would like you to know that there is going to be a Kundalini Awakening seminar event in Boston on October 19th and 20th. Liz is the organizer. She lives in Boston. I won't use her last name, but I would like you to email her at LZHAO, the number 6, at Comcast.net. And I will be there. I'll be giving the seminar, and we'll be giving Shaktipat as well, and Ishti invitations. These are beautiful, extraordinary events. I don't have too many of them. I'm trying to have more. Amelia Santara will be there as well. And so it gives you a great opportunity to meet her in person. She will be giving Kundalini healings and Kundalini-infused therapeutic touch. We may be blessed with the presence of Sarkis, another Kundalini healer who also uses Kundalini-infused therapeutic touch. And so there are many opportunities to make connections and to network with other people and to receive a level of divine grace that really isn't available anywhere else in the world. If you listen to any of these radio broadcasts, and if this is a frequency of the Kundalini experience that you want to have, then I'll suggest that you come to the Boston Kundalini Awakening Seminar, October 19th and 20th. Contact Liz at LZHAO6 at Comcast.net. That's the number 6. And do you have anything to add, Santara?
To that, no, I'm very much looking forward to meeting with Liz again and with you. And I suppose maybe for the people who listen regularly to this show, they know that for the past month I was spending time at the ashram in Santa Rosa. And it was a month filled with so many blessings and graces, and I'm so filled with gratitude for every moment of it. And I'd like to thank my dear husband for supporting my Kundalini process so that I could go and do that. And I want to thank you, my teacher, Chrism, for all the gifts and the graces, that I was given through the divine Kundalini within you. And for those who are listening and who are students of Chrism's, if I could suggest maybe or encourage you to journey to the ashram in Santa Rosa and to spend some time in the presence of your teacher, where then I would really encourage you to do that so that you can be with the teachings of the Kundalini as given through Chrism. So thank you, Chrism, for that. And it's also good to be back home again.
Well, yes, I too would like to echo the gratitude to John O'Connor for his steadfast support of you in your Kundalini awakening process, and in allowing and helping you to come out here. And so, John, a wave of hello to you and a wave of gratitude to you as well. And I know that Amelia will be visiting France soon, and so the French will be able to partake of her love and her grace on one of the beaches, I guess, there in France. Is that right, Amelia?
We're going to the Vendée area. The Vendée, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. Yes, on the western coast of France. Next weekend, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
So anybody that lives there, go visit Amelia.
Well, if there's anybody who lives there that is on the CARS group, or that would like to contact me, I'm going to give my number because I love meeting other Kundalini people. So if I can give my address, it would be kundalinimatters@gmail.com. And for sure, I'd be open to meeting with anybody who's living there. So thanks. That's it for me, Chrism.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Amelia Santara, and thank you, everybody who has called in and who has listened. Aloha Jay and Andrew James and all the other guests. Thank you for joining the chat room and asking the question. Aloha Jay, I hope I came close to answering it for you. And then we will be coming back once again next Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time for another show.
Wednesday. Next
yes.
Wednesday, Chrism. You said Friday.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We'll be coming back and doing this again, and I would like to extend an invitation to all of you who are here today to come then. And in the meantime, may your Kundalini Shakti explode within you with love and grace and joy and harmony for yourself and all those around you. Thank you for listening.